I'm really pleased to introduce to you Mr. Miguel Almena. He is our TAO Lab director, and he has such great experience and so many great things that he's working on and doing with the students. It's really active, and he's going to tell you all about it. So I'm going to let him introduce himself and introduce the TAO Lab. Mr. Almena.
Okay, thank you, Tim. Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us this evening. I'm so happy to be here. And just want to say happy holidays to you. And I hope you have an awesome and restful Thanksgiving break. But today I have the pleasure of sharing a little bit about the TAO Lab. And I have some examples, some samples of work, basically the whole story of the lab and the history. And I'm actually broadcasting here from our TAO Lab. So right behind me, we're going to be showcasing this lovely device here, which is our laser cutter. But you're going to have a little bit of a sneak peek at what we're doing in the lab and the history and basically how we're making a successful program virtually. So I'm going to go ahead and share my screen and share with you some information here. And I'm going to hit present. So hopefully we have that at full screen. Okay, so let's take a look there, and we will also share computer sound because that's going to be important as well. Okay, so this is our TAO Lab, and the TAO Lab has been, oh, let me introduce myself. First of all, hi, my name is Miguel Almena, and this is my second year teaching at Maranatha, but I've been a teacher for, I think it's almost a decade now, so about 9 years. And prior to that, I was actually a designer for the Walt Disney Company. I worked in product development, and I worked over at the consumer product and media. Now it's consumer product and media, but at the time it was consumer product and media was sort of emerging in the very, very beginning. But I worked with Disney, and a lot of my work has been very focused on design, CAD, 3D modeling, engineering, and really my experience was basically I was traditionally trained as a designer, problem solving and solving design problems. And what turned out to be a really like a sort of a sabbatical for from design into teaching turned into a career change. And I ended up focusing on teaching, but also teaching design thinking, design methodology, 21st century technology, exponential technology, pretty much everything that I think is important for all of our students and every student for the 21st century. That's my lovely wife and our 4-year-old son, Elias. I only have one right now, and he is definitely a handful. And he's definitely like his dad. He likes to build, he likes to create. And my wife is a college counselor, so we're both educators. We love learning. We're lifelong learners. And you have to, whenever you see my wife, you have to thank her because she was the one that encouraged me to go into teaching. I never thought I would end up in this field, but she, in her counseling style, said, I think you would be good at teaching. And there's this sort of program that you can do for a year, and maybe you could look into it, and it worked out really, really, really well. So I give a lot of credit to my wife for inspiring me to go into education because it has been the most fulfilling experience, I think. And I definitely believe that that God led me into this position and is leading me into greater things with our students and here at Maranatha. So I'm thankful for her, and I'm thankful for everything that the school has brought. Now, the TAO Lab, getting back to what I wanted to get into, TAO Lab was created in 2018, and it is state-of-the-art. Basically, we have the most advanced sort of engineering space, makerspace within the area. There are multiple ones and some that are similar, but really for a high school environment, we have the most advanced, if not as advanced as most of the universities within the region. We have 25 iMac computers. Within our Mac lab, 9 3D printers, 2 industrial grade 3D printers, followed by 7 MakerBots. And we have one 75-watt laser cutter, along with a virtual reality headset or station. And we also have a slew of different software. So Adobe Creative Cloud, Onshape, CAD systems, computer science, softwares. We have a really full stack of equipment and gear and software. But it is ultimately a virtual collaborative learning space. The TAO Lab means technology integration learning environment. And we really see ourselves as sort of the classroom of the 21st century. And what would it look like if we had an environment where things were flexible and spaces were flexible and students can create and solve on multiple problems and projects in different disciplines and sort of combine them and work with other courses and other classes. And the lab was created to model that space. Ultimately, we really believe that the future will be collaborative, that much of the 21st century skills students are going to need are creativity, collaboration, communication, critical thinking, and the fifth one that I think we really bring here at Maranatha is community. And these are the elements I think that we're going to need. We want to train minds, we want to train hearts. And so in order to do that, we have to have this community aspect and really focus on building culture, but also be very mindful of the rapid rate of change that is happening in the world. I was just telling a colleague today that it does feel like that the last 7 months had sort of propelled us 10 years into the future. I honestly thought we would get here in a decade, but we're here much sooner than we anticipated. But thankfully, we here in the lab were prepared for that because we were sort of already envisioning that for the future. Our ultimate vision for the lab is to create an accelerator for student-led impact. So we want students to use this exponential technology to serve others, to make a huge impact, whether it's locally, whether in their families, or globally. They have that choice, whether they want to go on any scale. But we have the space and we have the opportunity to grow and to scale. And so we want to model that for our students here on campus. And modeling is led by demonstration. So most students will not follow unless you lead. And so this year, at the beginning of the quarantine around March or April, I took it upon myself to not sit by the wayside while many of our essential workers in hospitals were going through, well, as we know, a shortage of PPE, masks, and protective gear. And it dawned on me, it's like, well, if we don't have masks, then we can definitely manufacture them. And one of the great things about having access to 3D modeling files is that you get information and news of things that are sort of emerging within that space. Around that same time, there was a doctor out east who had modeled a file of a mask using CAD software, and basically was able to take one mask and sort of multiply it into 6 different masks and created a model file for people to modify, to print in all places around the world. We took this file, we 3D printed it here on campus, and we were able to deliver nearly 100, actually over 100 3D printed masks and filters to nurses over at Kaiser Hospital in Downey. Since then, we have expanded. We've included face shields and masks to smaller groups in different places. But ultimately, we've impacted nearly almost 200 different lives using this technology. We ran our 3D printers around the clock remotely, and ultimately coming in and getting them ready for shipping and dropping them off. The hospital was absolutely thankful for our service, our leadership, and they never thought that a high school would step out and do this. And so it was really great. At one point, the head nurse had told me that she had never prayed in front of her team, which was about almost 40 people. And you know, because of what we did, because of our leading our service, they were able to take a moment and pray, because there was a lot of uncertainty going on in that time. And we were very thankful. We got a little bit of coverage on the news for that. So here's a little bit of coverage from Channel 5.
High School is doing its part to help combat coronavirus.
They're embarking on a new project to protect those on the front lines by printing 3D face masks. Maranatha High School in Pasadena will use the special printers to make about 80 protective face masks for local medical professionals. After hearing about the shortage of protective gear at Kaiser Permanente in Downey, a faculty member familiar with the school's lab was able to create the masks remotely. Each reusable mask will also come with hospital-grade filtration squares and is expected to be delivered to Kaiser in the next few days.
Good for them.
Yeah, wow.
That's fantastic.
Great.
So
Local high school is doing it.
So that was actually very unknown. I didn't know until the morning of that the KTLA had run that story. But it's what's really great about that is that immediately after that story aired, our story went viral. So it was trending on Google, and the LA Times picked it up and they published it. And what was really great about that is that we were contacted not long after that by a school in Japan, the International School of Japan, and two students found the story and contacted me through LinkedIn, basically asking if they could replicate that for Tokyo. And they were seeing a surge, and they didn't want to not do anything as a result. And they had the same gear, similar equipment, less 3D printers. But we had a really good conversation, and I went online, spoke to them on Zoom, and basically led them and replicated this process and informed them that the best way they can go about doing it was to print and to offer it to nursing homes or any hospitals that were available. And since then, they've been able to deliver to their local nursing homes and inspired their faculty and their staff in Japan to produce this software, these masks using the software. So it was really great. We really had a really great impact, and we've gone international. And so I'm really thankful for those students for basically reaching out and asking us how we can help them. So that was definitely inspiring, and it shows some of the things that we're doing, and it definitely aligns with our vision of having impact and leading through service. And of course, people always ask, well, how do we do this, right? What's the model? What's the ideology? Ultimately, we are virtual. We've always intended to go virtual, within about 5 years, maybe possibly even a decade, and sort of experiment within this space. Now we're doing it 100% virtually. So the model is that, what could it be? What would it be like if we could actually go into various spaces in person, on mobile, and also virtually? And what would it look like if students were modeling and creating engineering at home? What would that ultimately look like? Well, the answer was very simple. We decided to try to go into VR and to experiment a little bit with VR. And what's interesting about VR is that, again, we anticipated for virtual reality to sort of mature within a 10-year time frame, maybe 5 at best. But within the last 7 months, the space has exploded because everyone is online, working at home. And so we have sort of like this race for virtual reality work-based collaboration software. And so I was able to contact a company known as Spatial.io, and they were able to assist us by providing virtual rooms so that students can log on from anywhere using a simple link, and they could basically go into VR on desktop, on mobile, and of course the traditional headset. So it wasn't simply a headset where you had to spend a few $100s on this. This could be as simple as your mobile phone and access, or your desktop computer. So they made sort of like this universal virtual space, and we were able to demo that about a couple of months ago. And here's a demonstration of myself, one of our students, and he's at home on his headset. And then there is a camera running here in the lab where it's connected. And basically we have a desktop computer, we have a student in blue, and we have myself, which is an avatar, which is a little bit more advanced. And this is a propeller that was designed in computer-aided design software called Onshape and imported into the virtual space. And what's really, really amazing is that what sort of was supposed to be 20 or 30 minutes turned into easily an hour of engagement and interaction. We were able to move within this space. Our IT person, Neil, was recording at the time, so there was 3 of us. But you could see Philip is showing me links on Google, and he's also sort of demonstrating how he was able to import his model file into the VR space and how we can increase it, look at it from all angles, and really manipulate it by hand. So we were able to see this propeller within a VR space and do it from various locations. You know, ultimately we thought we would be on different rooms on campus, but he was in his home and sharing those models. And so that mug that you see there, that's his mug. He designed that also in our CAD modeling software as one of our sample models. And we could easily just model, manipulate, and put ourselves in different rooms. We can technically put up to 40 streams or 40 students into one stream. And that was a very recent update. So this company is very, very motivated on dominating the space. But what's so awesome is that when we contacted them, they were offering this service for free to us. They wanted it to work for students, and they were willing to allow us access. So that was really, really, really great. So this is something that we're going to continue to explore. And ultimately is something that as more students get access to the headgear, but also their desktops, we'll be able to sort of demo and model within that space. So that is a reality for us. And we are very excited to continue to explore as the days and weeks go by. We also have partnerships here in the lab. Ultimately, you know, one person cannot do this alone. We need a team. We need partnerships with different organizations. So recently we partnered with a nonprofit STEM curriculum organization called Project Lead the Way. And so they offer some amazing curriculum on in engineering. So the TAO Lab has multiple pathways. So we have our visual communications, graphic design, computer science, and of course engineering. So what we're trying to do is really try to align these different pathways and mature them to the most that students can get out of this experience. So what would it look like if a student would take sort of an exploratory class, a intermediate class, and ultimately an advanced level course, and where the advanced class would be a capstone class? We're pushing forward that with that in the coming months. And so what we want to do is basically make engineering one of our highlighted programs. And we want to offer Introduction to Engineering, Essentials to Engineering, and ultimately the capstone class, which is engineering design, where we take a problem within the community, much like the one you saw earlier, and put that into the hands of the students. And what would it look like if we could catalog and have a panel of professionals from various disciplines in engineering come in or virtually visit and allow us to work with them and possibly even offer externships and internships with different startups so that students can work with them in solving some problems that they're working on. And so we really, really are excited to make this real world, to make it relevant, because that is the future. We want students to have practical experience. We want them to have the science and have the mathematics behind it. And we just love this program because everything is aligned to curriculum. They are getting credit within their general education requirements. It is a science course technically, but it's being used in a very, very powerful way using much of the 3D printing and software. And this year's engineering curriculum has been advanced and updated to include 3D modeling and 3D printing because much of the industry is now using this technology for much of their applications in various industries, but more so in engineering. So we are offering a 3-year engineering pathway here at Maranatha, and we're very excited to mature that and have our students serve and create and solve real problems in our community. So we are very much looking forward to that. And of course, ultimately, people always ask, how do you do this? What is the pedagogy? How do we actually do this online? Well, the program that we use for that is Onshape. And what Onshape is a 3D modeling software. So this software typically would cost hundreds of dollars, thousands of dollars, if you have multiple licenses to install in any office or educational space. What's really, really exciting is that now that internet is getting faster and streaming is becoming more and more of a commonality, CAD software is now being innovated. So this software is completely online. It is a cloud-based software, meaning it's like Gmail, where all you need is an internet connection, and it is a software built into the internet. So it's cloud-based. All I have to do is install my email or sign up with my email, and the software is active. And this is really, really, really powerful software. And so it's free to our students. So it's amazing. We use this software to work within our homes on our iPads. And then ultimately from that, we go into from modeling into 3D printing. So we have cloud printing as well. So much like you do have software where it prints and goes online, we're also printing online. And these are our printers live. And what we do is that students will model at home. We go online to check on it virtually, and then we send it away to the 3D printers, all virtually. So we are 100% virtual, and that's just one of the exciting things about having access to the software. But there's so much that one can say. Ultimately, I will kind of finish it up by saying that there is a vision on the pedagogy. We want to build maker mindsets. We want students to think outside the box and solve real world problems. And much of the research and the findings do come from Project Zero at Harvard University, where we want to empower students to have a sensitivity to the design dimension of the world, systems, objects, and an inclination to shape one's world through building, tinkering, redesigning, and or hacking. So we really want students to make an impact by being sensitive to the world and around them, and understanding before they solve. And that involves looking closely, exploring that complexity, and finding the opportunity to improve and serve. So many routines, many questions, many projects that we have done throughout the years. We've done so many of them. I'll just highlight a couple. We've had students create, holders for eyeglasses, trumpet mouthpieces for their music programs. Trumpet mouthpieces typically are very expensive. They're made of metal. They take weeks for them to be delivered. We 3D print them in 2 hours, and a student no longer has to wait, and it costs a fraction of what you normally pay for a metal one, and it works. So what would it look like if we find opportunity in different places? What would it look like if we take the advancement of technology and all these wonderful things that are going on in the world, such as 3D printed homes and 3D printed jewelry and clothing and the works, and we just establish a framework for innovation and creativity. That's what we want to do here in the lab, and we want to do that as quickly as possible because we don't ever want to miss a moment inspiring our students to serve. So I want to thank everyone for your time. I can talk forever on this, but if you have any further questions, feel free to contact me. I have an open door policy, but I want to thank the team and everyone here at Maranatha for the opportunity to serve your families, and everyone here on campus. It is truly my honor, and I wish you all a wonderful, wonderful holiday. So thank you.